Hello and welcome back to another episode of Under the Floorboard. Today I am joined with my co-host Stephen McIvney and the wonderful Gillian Green, a full-time property investor, property mentor as well, coach would you say as well, and founder or co-founder with Darren, not too sure, with Coorie Doon Stays.
Well, David. Don't do Coorie Doon with my husband. It's
I
like my
thought it
business
was.
partner, David.
Oh well, there you go. Learn something in the first 30 seconds.
I know.
But no, listen, thanks very much for coming on. I know you're busy buying up everything in North Ayrshire, it seems.
I would love to. I think you're talking me up a bit too much here.
But yeah, busy women, so thank you for coming on. You've got experience in buy-to-lets and service accommodations, and obviously now they're running it through service accommodations as well. But I guess if we were to wind it back a little bit, like what got you into property in the first place?
In short, children.
To pay for them coming up, like I'd get them in there.
A very potted history is back in 2016, had my first child, Lauren, and about 3 weeks after she was born, I was just thinking about going back to work. I was in a usual corporate job. I don't have a sad backstory, like nothing dramatic.
Up and down chimneys, you're
No,
like
I was good job, but worked loads of hours, conscious that I was going to have to go back to work, and I could just see how my life was going to play out. And me and Darren, who was my fiance at the time, we were like, we have to do something different. 3 weeks after Lauren was born, I found myself at the back of a room in, I think it was the Crown Plaza or something in Glasgow, at one of these free day events.
Yeah.
I'm standing there like crazy lady in the back of the room with this baby in my arms, listening to this guy from Essex talk about how amazing property was and you get rich quick in like 2 weeks. And yeah, it kind of started there. Like, we just knew we had to do something different. We did go and spend a lot on training, but for us it was worth it. Yeah. You don't need to do that these days. Back then it was a wee bit different. And yeah, started buying buy-to-lets, mainly BRRRs, really tight on our criteria. Did it probably the hard way, actually, like 30 viewings to get one accepted.
Yeah, wow.
Doing the renovation.
Put in the graph for it, yeah, brilliant.
Like proper, like grafting.
So were you doing the renovation yourself then?
No.
No.
Albeit on our first ever house, we got the paintbrushes out. We thought we need to save money somehow.
So with the painting, because like everybody can paint.
I know.
Until you realise that you can't paint.
No.
Halfway through going, what are you doing?
So if you can picture me and Darren in this 2-bed ex-council house in Coinnin, with Lauren and the baby carrier. We were actually getting married in the April, and this is like in the winter. And I had my cousin who was singing at our wedding just come round to practice some songs. So he's there practicing some songs, baby in the baby carrier, us painting, thinking we're saving money. That's probably the extent of what we've done.
That's a real deep. That's deeper than the surface level went. It's like you're right into that. Getting the wedding singer in to take care of the baby while you're painting.
I just remember you get all these like 10 most stressful things, and it's always like getting married, having kids, buying a house. They're in the top 10. I'm like,
I always do all three at one time.
Any time to start in property, probably when we chose was not like the easiest time. Like, and I always look back and I'm like, God, see if we just get started in property from pre-kids.
Yeah.
Like, how much more time would we have had? But actually, having kids, I think, was the best driver for us in property because like my second one came along, there's 14 months between them. So actually I used I talk about this now, I no longer work for the company, but I used my mat leave.
Yeah.
I was the one out with generally 1 or 2 babies like attached to me, doing these viewings in the smelliest of houses. Like, the estate agents must have just been like, you are mental.
Aye.
But
felt so, give it.
Actually, it gives you the drive. And I think you guys know as well, like, I think you have to have grit in property and work hard, and it's not all get rich quick. Like, you've got to put the hours in. And yes, maybe there's certain things I could have done now in hindsight to make it easier, but actually looking back, like I've got loads of good experiences, met loads of good friends doing it that way. But yeah, that's how we got started. Like
everybody goes through that, I wish I'd done this 10 years ago. But then, like you're saying, would you have had the same drive and ambition to go and do what you have done? Probably not. You would wonder that because you thought this is quite
easy
good. But
you're in, I was the same, in a commercial job that's like, as much as they want to hammer you and you have to work all the hours and you feel compelled and you're always worried about it, sometimes it's easier than, when you go the other side and you're in property and you're like, oh my God, it's been 3 months, I've made zero money. So when you started in property, did you just give up your job fully or did you do both of them?
Jeez, oh no.
2 kids on maternity, quit the job.
That actually worked out pretty well. Like, me and Darren worked for the same company and both in decent jobs, like very mortgageable. But basically we'd planned that I would leave the job first. But I didn't leave for a few years. And
so was that always a plan sort of then? Was it always to go full time, or was this more?
It wasn't necessarily to go full time in property. It's just our biggest drive was I wanted to have the ability to drop my kids off and pick them up from school when they went to school. Like, and I know that sounds to a lot of people, they'll be like, that's not a big dream, but
that was mine. That's why
I knew I couldn't have done that if I didn't do something different. So it was always the plan that I would leave first and then Darren would leave at some point and we'd find something else active to do, which we have done.
Yeah.
But it was maybe something more that we had a passion for. I'd probably lost a bit of, I don't know, like, I didn't feel that I was doing anything meaningful in my job. I still loved my job. It was very diverse, got loads of different things to do. Nobody else was doing the job I did. A wee bit of travel in there. People were great. But I kind of lost my purpose as well. So, yeah, I left my job, was it January 2019? But I'd planned to leave in August, but actually at the time the company was getting bought over and I've worked in the partnership team and obviously not much really could get done there. And luckily my director kind of knew what we were roughly doing. And actually I got redundancy. It wasn't really voluntary, but they knew that I would be happy with it.
Aye.
So I get paid to leave a wee bit earlier, so I was skipping out the door.
That's
like,
nice.
Best thing. I know everybody's like, like you got made redundant.
To what I was doing as well. Well, I knew I planned to leave.
Aye.
And then in Jan's like, no, we're changing the structure. And so when he's getting made redundant, everyone's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've been there 15, 20 years. I'm like, oh, brilliant. Can I take it early? Can I leave now? But because you've got something you're happy I get into do. And
plus the decision's made for you a little bit. So it kind of, in your head, probably at the back, you're going, well, I've got no choice. It's been forced upon me, so therefore that's what it is.
And you kind of have to suppress your happiness, because I had to say, like, HR were there and they're like, are you all right? Can you go to the bathroom? I'm like, no, I'm fine, just keep going, honestly, I'm totally fine.
I was sitting in the room and like pulled in with the head of Scotland at the time, and there was 4 of us and 5 of us in Scotland. And they're going around the room, how's all feel? I'm sitting going, I'm buzzing. He's like, Sean, how do you feel? I'm like, I don't know, I need to let it all sink in and really think about it. I'm like, fucking yes. Here we go. But I mean, it's a big thing for everybody to go through, and you're excited, but you're also nervous at the same time because you know you want to do it. You kind of get proof of concept that you can do it, but it's physically you've nothing else to fall back on. Well, you could go back into employment, I suppose, but this is you need to fully go for it. So you're excited on one hand, but also a bit nervous on the other.
The good thing for us at the time, like in hindsight, was at that point, we had actually kind of gone down to the point that we could live in one salary. We'd downsized our house as well, like 3-bed to 3-bed, still 3-bed, but we downsized our house so that we could put more money into the business to grow that. So it was all gearing up for me to leave.
It's like you're all in, aren't you? You're not kind of half and half, kind of like.
But that was over a good few years of doing buy-to-lets and putting the graft in, and like I think the only thing I was thinking about at the time was, well, will we still be as mortgageable as we were? Because it was back then. It was a wee bit more difficult to get mortgages for like investment properties than it is now, but it was we had no issues. Like when I look back on it, but that was probably my only kind of concern. And obviously, like what you were saying earlier, Stephen, it's like, well, you could go like 3 months and not be making any money, whereas at least in your job, like if you had a bad month, you still get paid.
Yeah.
Like, so you didn't really have that worry. Whereas when you're working for yourself, it's all on you.
Yeah.
And probably not everybody can do that. I think it's...
Is it a hard kind of mindset to shift, isn't it, and break? Because if you're not you do have a bad month, and you're like, right, shit, like you could be doing like whether it's sourcing or flips or buy-to-lets or whatever, like making sure you're getting that money coming in when you've got mortgage and kids and everything else to pay. It's a bit of a scary thought, like I'm not getting paid this month, but you might be getting something like quite heavy the next month and kind of balance it out over time. Like for me, that was a big massive mindset shift to get out of that employment mindset. Like
I was reading this guy, I think his name's Mosin, he's an American guy, Indian guy, and he was actually saying, he was explaining everything with bits of Lego, and he was going, look, this is how you would do your business. And then he came to his day job, he was talking about how people move from day jobs, and he goes, you only need to do enough not to get sacked. He's like, not anymore. That's what you need. Don't focus on doing any more on your day job other than just not getting sacked.
Whereas I couldn't...
Yeah,
I don't know. My mindset has always been giving everything to...
Yeah.
Probably when I look
too.
back, like I didn't need to do that much. I didn't need to do those hours. I didn't need to do that. But you do, like I remember even during COVID, Darren was asked if he wanted to go on furlough. And Darren felt obliged to say no, like I'll stay and work, like let somebody else in my team go on furlough. And I remember being like,
what you doing?
Darren, what you doing? And he's like, no, I've got to do it. And at the time, obviously, everybody knew we were doing property, but I remember like somebody in the company like had Darren in a room saying, no, we're just getting questioned how dedicated you are to your job. And I was like, are you having a joke? Like,
Just
this is a guy who's like sitting...
During furlough, that'll come like somebody else do it.
working.
Is dedication for you?
When he didn't need to, he could have went on furlough. But yeah, I don't know, it's sometimes the way you're built, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I am unfortunately the same, and I don't want to be like that. I think sometimes if somebody sends something on a Friday, like, you know, people they throw away emails on a Friday, usually about 4:30. I really need this. And then you're like, no problems, I'll do it on Sunday. I'm like, and you're getting nothing out of it, and they're probably like sitting away at the pub, and I'm like, absolutely raging, but I'll still do it on a Sunday, so like, much easier for me. I don't mind, as you say, doing stuff for yourself on a Sunday, because you can see the benefit for your kids here. You're like, well, that's great. Kills me.
So obviously you're juggling things like buy-to-lets and flips and service accommodation and commercial. You did everything. Like, do you have a kind of, I guess when you look at the strategy, do you go through a period of like you're just in there, you're buying buy-to-lets? Do you have a period of like we need to get more of X, or do you just kind of go to your properties and go, right, this would suit a, like what's your kind of thought process leading up to?
So I mean, I don't feel like I'm juggling just quite the way you say it. I know it sometimes can look like that, but from day one, we've always followed a kind of planning process. Like every year, me and Darren sit down and review like how the year's gone, where we going to go to in the next year based on where we think we want our life to go, that sort of thing. Some we've done pre-property. One of the good things about the job that we were in, we had a really good director who like was really focused on goal setting, not just in your job, like actually wider than that, because it's all interrelated, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've always done that. Where we're at just now, like, we can drop our kids off at school, pick them up, but we probably work harder than we've ever worked.
No,
and I kind of have it in buckets. Like, we've got our active stuff that we do, and then I don't believe property is passive, but the more passive stuff, let's say, the stuff we use, letting agents and stuff like that. So I kind of look at it, right, where do we want to move into? So our priorities right now are on the more passive stuff. We're doing some stuff just now that's a wee bit more about cash flow. And that's why we've gone back into the buy-to-let space. But at the same time, we've got the commercial stuff that still ticks along. We're not planning to buy any more commercial in the next year. We've got enough in there. Flips are good for lumpy money. I will do more flips. We've just accepted an offer in a recent one, but that was a big beast, and I just want an easy flip next time.
Is there such a thing?
I know, they're quite hard.
What I mean is, like, one that I'm selling, like, kind of sub 200s, like a nice 3-bed that's not like a big commercial Teresi conversion with 4 floors and spiral staircases. Like, that's like something a bit
Sprinkler
easy.
systems and all
Aye,
sorts.
bloody hell, like.
Jeez.
But and my active focus, and it does kind of fall into the investment side, kind of more passive stuff as well, is Coorie Doon Stays. So maybe about 4.5 years ago, me and Darren bought a house that we're going to flip in here, and long story short, ended up trialling it as short-term let, or Airbnb that I thought it was at the time, and then ended up using a guy I'd known for a while, David, to manage it, who was managing properties for friends on his own at the time. And over the course of the last, the few years after that, I get more and more interested in this short-term let stuff. And fast forward to now, I'm now in that business with David. We run Coorie Doon Stays, managing our own and other people's short-term lets.
And is that just down towards... I know you're based in Ayrshire.
Most of our units are in Ayrshire. We also cover Paisley and Fife as well, and also a wee bit of Argyll and Bute. But the other reason I wanted to get into the active side of that business is because of the apart hotel that me and Darren have in Fife. He's from Fife, that's why.
Right.
I was going to say, it's quite a bit diverse, isn't it? Because you went, it's quite close. We're in southwest Scotland. And Fife as well. They're the opposite sides of the country.
He's from Fife. We always wanted a holiday let that we could go and stay at when we go and see his family. But yeah, we've bought this. It was a small hotel. It's got 5 units above and then a restaurant below that is rented out.
Oh, nice.
So that's now all live now, but...
This is the one I must be...
Where is it?
Obviously, you co-hosted Property Networking event. Is this one you spoke about in one of the group chats and community was kicking up fuss and all that now?
Oh, aye, we had loads of fun with it.
Aye.
Albeit, it's a lovely little... It's in a village just outside Glenrothes, and I've got to say, the locals are lovely now, but I think it's just the whole... They don't... They have got perceptions of what it will be. And it's the fear of the unknown, and the hotel bit of it hadn't really been used properly as a hotel, and I mean it was minging. So we've gone in, spent a lot of money doing it all up, and it's now lovely units that people a mix of people working in the area, people come to holiday in the area, and they're using the restaurant as well, which the locals are delighted about because they didn't have anywhere to go for a drink or some nice food.
There's probably a fear factor from them. It might actually been Darren I heard speaking about it then, but he was talking because he was talking about being on one of the group chats, this is getting done into this, and they're all kicking up comments about it's going to be X, Y, and Z getting in there, and Darren's well, listen, I'm local, I'm trying to do this to bring more into it, and obviously now it's actually came to fruition. That's actually what it's getting used for, like you say. More.
We've had to have a few conversations about people. I remember being in the car park and we were putting stuff in the skip, and a lady who was moving out her house, but she was I know what you are going to be doing with this. And we're well, actually, just come and speak to us. We're the owners. Rather than going and hearing wee snippets and gossip, come and speak to us who actually know what we're doing with it.
I suppose they have a perception, don't they, of there's yobs going to move in, they're just going to kind of drink, pee on the streets, fight, pubs, all that.
Aye.
And you're actually, we've spent a fortune. We're not going to bring yobs in. If
We
it looks
don't
like
want.
this.
We don't want that. Now, don't get me wrong. like across all the short-term lets and the like my business partner David's got a gorgeous like apart hotel in Troon, right in the centre of Troon, and it's beautiful. But like across everything, like we have had issues. Like it's no different than any other. I mean, it's not really a property strategy; it's more hospitality. But out of everything in property, whether it's buy-to-lets, like commercial, SE, HMOs, whatever it is, there's always going to be a challenge at some point. Like, I remember in our Staten buy-to-let, like, the tenant, like, I got a phone call saying that the back doors had gone on fire and the wheelie bin went on fire and half the fence is down. And I'm like, oh my God, like, my life's over. Like, what's happened? And, like, basically the tenant had been smoking and put it in the bin and it went on fire. Like, it's not the end of the world, but you can think it is. And you're going to get bad things on everything. But I suppose it's just like put in as much mitigation as possible, do your due diligence. Like for things like short-term let, unless you are like, you've got experience in that arena or you've got a lot of time, get a good manager. Like, don't try and cut corners.
We normally do. You're a bit different from the rest of the people because sometimes we'll ask someone who's like, oh, you do this for this only piece of work, and then we would ask them what you would learn. But I'm just going to jump. I've got a couple of questions I wanted to ask on this. Just thinking, because it's been a while.
I'm confused. It's off the cuff here.
I know. Sometimes I'm looking at Sean when I'm asking questions. He's like, no, that's 8 later. And he's like, what you doing? I'm like, I just thought I'd like mix it up a bit. But out of all of them, Coorie Doon commercial, SE, buy-to-let, flips, what's the hardest? And what is the hardest? And what is the, I nearly said the mature Gillian, right? But what I meant was the experienced Gillian from the beginning. Have you learned? Because I'm thinking that, like I'm thinking that the door going on fire 10 years ago when you were doing it, you'd be like, we should phone the fire brigade, we should close the place down and have an investigation. And now you'd be like, probably need to put that fire out and get another door. Do you know what I mean? What's the hardest and what do you think you're now, I want to say, calmer with that you weren't?
I mean, the way I view it now is, see if you're not going to be worrying about something in 5 years' time, don't spend 5 minutes on it now. Like, deal with it and move on. Like, take learnings from whatever it is and move on. Like, because I am an overthinker. Like, probably in the last few days, like, I know in, like, Coorie Doon Stays, like, I'm always like, David, what if this happens? Like, so, like, do you think that person's going to do this? And he's like, oh my God, stop, like, overthinking. Like,
you're creating scenarios that aren't even there.
I can be like 0 to a million.
Which is all right to think of, you know what's going to happen, how do you deal with it, but you like go over and above, like, oh, this could happen, but then that could happen, and then what if that happens?
It's like a tree, isn't it? It's just like...
Yeah, so I now know how to stop myself over-dramatising, overthinking, and bring myself back to the reality is, like, I don't tend to get overstressed quite often about big things. It quite often can be the little things. But quite often there's quite a lot of those little things. No, like, nothing ever happens in one. Like, you get, if there's a problem with a boiler, you have 3 problems with boilers. Like, if there's a roof leaking, there's 3. Always seems to be 3, isn't it?
Power of 3's, isn't it?
So, I wouldn't say there's anything necessarily harder, but I've learned to expect unexpected, but also just deal with what's in front of me and don't worry about stuff that I can't control. Like, in buy-to-lets, like, speaking to anyone new coming in, like, I would always say, unless you've got a lot of experience in certain strategies, like, do something really easy first or easier. Like, I was panicking about our first buy-to-let. Like, I viewed it, offered on it, agreed it. Darren hadn't even seen it. I was worried when we got the keys that it was actually going to be standing. And was the bathroom in the state it was? Was the house going to fall down? Was, like, all of those stuff? But, like, just deal with what you can control. try not worry about stuff that you can't.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being worried that our builder's going to rip us off. Like, hear all these stories and things will happen. Tenants sometimes won't pay. Like, if you're in buy-to-let and you're doing volume, I don't see why you shouldn't get into property unless you're going to do some sort of volume. But, like, you will come across a tenant who doesn't pay. You will come across a tenant who is going to trash your house. It's actually not your house, it's their home. Like, you're just kind of the owner of the building.
Facilitating it, for them.
Aye. Like, commercial, like, there is going to be a tenant who, like, doesn't pay again. Like, that's a bit easier to deal with than resi. But there's going to be a builder or a trade that screws you over at one point. Like,
I think as well,
it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think when people do builders and stuff like that, they assume a builder gives them a price and says, right, I'm going to do this, and he's going to find nothing wrong, so that's the price. And I think that's a experience thing at the beginning. You go, but you said it would cost 10 grand, and he goes, yeah, but I didn't realise when I took the wall away there was a chimney behind it.
Aye.
You know, and you're like, but you said 10, and I think that's experience to chill more. That's probably where it is to go.
Like, I like, you guys will know Ian Lindsay. He talks about, is it a 5 or 10 grand problem?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like that, because it's like, you're always going to have some sort of problem in every project you do.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, maybe in a wee buy-to-let, like, a 10 grand problem is going to be a big problem because some people's budget, like, that they've worked out for a renovation is 10 grand. But, so it's maybe going to be like, I remember being over, like, on buy-to-let refurbs, and, like, back in, like, 2017, 2018, like, you're pretty much able to do, like, a decent-sized renovation for, like, 15 grand. Like, it feels like everything's just doubled nowadays. But, like, back then, like, I remember, like, oh my God, we're going to be over, like, 2 grand and 3 grand. And, like, now I'm like, wish we were over 2-3 grand. It seemed like a bigger problem back then, but then through experience, you realise, well, quite often when you do the refinance, like, it all pans out. Like,
it's not 2 grand wasted as such. You will get it back at some point. And let's say it's starting off small and the easier kind of ones, and you're leading up to the bigger ones. So that 2 grand in a buy-to-let, and you're doing a commercial to resi, you're like, Christ, we're 15 grand over. Like, it's just to learn from that experience.
Our biggest thing was probably just learning when to go to the next thing. And actually, you don't always need to go to the next thing. Like, 'cause I think we'd done like 17 buy-to-lets before we did anything else. We flip in there, but I was actually like a bit scared about doing anything else.
That's almost like you're learning your trade on the buy-to-lets, but aren't you? Because the commercial, like, if you started, you would never say, I'm just going to buy this warehouse and convert it into a resi, because people would go, you absolutely
some people do, but I know, I couldn't have done that. Like, I mean, when we bought our first commercial building, like, I was absolutely crapping myself.
Yeah.
But
was it an old bank or something? No.
The first one, it was on Bank Street.
Oh, right. A new bank was in there somewhere.
It was basically a solicitor's office. It was actually originally a train station depot for the Caledonian Railway. But it was, in fact, an insurance broker that was in there. And there's our theme was like, we like buying things that had newspaper companies in them as well. So we had a newspaper. There's a newspaper company that was in it. But our first one, I mean, it was like, what is that? 4,000 square foot. So it's not ginormous, but at the time, it was ginormous. Yeah. But I had a lot of support from Jerry Alexander at the time, who, like, I don't think I would have had the confidence to go and do that myself. So I had somebody to go and ask the stupid questions to, like.
And is it related to the buy-to-let? I mean, there must be things, because you've done 17 at that point, you're like, well, hang on, we know we're going to have problems here, or I'm going to manage my expectations because we know we're going to go over.
The good thing about the commercial, that first commercial deal, was it was partially tenanted.
Yep.
We had half the building that we needed to refurb, and we had some rooms to fill in the bit that was partially tenanted.
Mm-hmm.
So it was quite good because it was income generating from day one. And all we've done over the years is increase that revenue to make it more profitable. And we will be going to do another refinance on it. But I suppose, like, from the renovation perspective, it did feel different to me, at least, because in commercial, like, I'd never seen, like, a fuse board that was in the commercial building before. Like, the way people use energy, the way they use, like, the water was set up, it was all different. We had to deal with fire alarms and security and door entry and all of that jazz that I'd never had to deal with before.
All the world of learning, isn't it?
Aye. And the biggest challenge actually with that building was the car park, and I turn into like some sort of car park warden every like Christmas because everybody like uses the car park where they shouldn't be because they're going to other units to get their makeup and hair done, and it's raining, so they use our car park. But I don't know where we're going there. I'm totally
No.
I was going to say, like, Coorie Doon Stays now, like, taking on more and more people's properties for service accommodation, Airbnb. Like, what would you say is like the biggest, or one of the biggest misunderstandings people have about service accommodation, like running it? Like, they're all, oh, can you take my property and just do it? Like, forgetting it has to be hotel-esque type properties. Like, do you get a lot of that?
Well, I think there's been a shift in mindset about short-term lets in terms of, like, back years ago, like, when you look at the contractor market, it was just like, how many beds can you fit in a room?
Yeah.
It was all white and grey, like, totally basic.
Yeah.
Whereas I think people have got an appreciation now that you need to stand out. It does need to be hotel quality. And actually, it doesn't all need to be high end, but it does need to be really good quality. Mm-hmm. So even, I would say, more of our kind of, it's not low end, but our lower end stock that we lay out, like, it's still got hotel quality, like white cotton sheets, like bed linen, towels, like everything, like, is done professionally, and it's good quality.
Yep.
But there's obviously still different levels, but like the game definitely has raised, and I suppose, I don't know, maybe it's because for a while there short-term let was the buzz, or Airbnb was the buzzword, everybody was getting into it. Mm-hmm. Obviously then with the licence come along, which has maybe forced some people out it. Still do think it's a busy market, and with AI and like the importance of things like photography and standing out to appeal to your end user, and it is hospitality as well. Like, so I think the quality has come up. One of the biggest challenges, I think, is sometimes because of like social media and everything, and if you're in property, like, short-term let is still something that, oh, you need to get into this, it's going to give you loads more money compared to a buy-to-let, and in some cases it won't. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just explaining to people that, like, yes, if you do your due diligence, like, there's so many apps out there you can check, like whether it's AirDNA or whatever, but that still isn't actually always giving you the reality.
Yeah.
No.
Like, the reality, you're going to get more from the people on the ground who are doing this day in, day out, and like seeing like what's happening in the area. And then even once you've got it set up, say you did your due diligence in the area, you do your due diligence on your end customer, you like develop the unit out to meet that, what you think that end customer wants. Like, you could launch that and it maybe doesn't still go the way you expect.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, somebody else doing it is like, oh, brilliant, I've got like a 12-month booking. Like, and sometimes it just comes down to timing, being in the right place at the right time. And one of the things that we consistently go over with like new clients that we bring on, particularly those who are maybe, they don't have another short-term let, or they've maybe done a buy-to-let and they're now looking to move into this, is just kind of explaining, like, this could take time to build.
Yep.
Sometimes it does just take time. And then that way they're absolutely delighted. Like if you do get a really good booking in the first month and it goes on for, like we've got quite a focus on direct bookings. But at the same time, we've got units that are very much holiday maker.
Yeah.
Like we've got a lovely wee one bed up in Fairley that is like a wee kind of, what's it called, like a button bend type. It's joined on to like a bigger house. It's got a wee deck over like a river and it's got a hot tub and it's so cute. But it's a proper holiday let.
Yeah.
Like traditionally a holiday let. It's not really going to suit a contractor.
No.
As opposed to like maybe ones that are like ex-council and good bits of certain areas that are like 3 beds and you can really appeal to contractor markets and people coming to visit the area. But just try to explain to people, like, it's not all gonna, they don't all just explode and get 100% occupancy and just like you see sometimes on social media.
Yeah, I had one in
It
Manchester.
takes time to build up that reputation as well, doesn't it? Like through like even your online platforms and like even your average daily rate might be X, but I think it's the biggest difference if you go to a buy to let and it's like you can see your comps for £800 a month rent. You're more than likely going to get that, assuming the tenant pays and everything else.
Yeah.
But a service accommodation, that's your average. So you might get that for 1 month, and then it comes to December, January, February, it's a lot quieter, so you're not getting your average daily rate. You need to drop your price, you need to give discounts and promos, and that's the kind of thing that doesn't get shown on Airdname and all that. That's where you need to kind of keep it on the ground known.
Yeah, and it can differ so much by area. Like, it's, I mean, we've got quite a lot in Ayr, and right now, like, I've got no concerns over Ayr as an area.
No.
But a few years ago, it was a wee bit quieter in the winter, and it was a bit tougher. But
your summer ones, your wedding ones,
I've still got no concerns.
Does it come to a point in Ayr that you might think, I've kind of flooded that market now, I need to be...
I think as long you need to keep your properties in good working order, like that's something, again, we speak to owners about, where maybe if something's looking a wee bit tired, like we need to work with them to invest back into their property so that, because it could have been operating really well up to a certain point, but you know, if you spend a little bit of money, you're going to get a better return for the next few years, and then you have to do it again.
I've noticed, like you were talking about the SA licences and stuff like that, and it probably benefited you actually. I was just thinking, I know other guys that were doing it both sides of the fence. So SA licences come in, and so people who I guess would probably be a little bit less unprofessional or stragglers and stuff like that, and they just can't be bothered, and they get to that point that they just go, I'll just let it go. Whereas it kind of opens up for you to say, look, I'm going to ramp up my properties to make them look better, and here's the licences. So it kind of probably decreases the amount of SA properties now, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, you're still seeing quite a lot of people will just take the risk and put the properties on and like without a licence.
Wow.
Like you see it everywhere. But like we've gone through, obviously every council area is different as well. Mm-hmm. Like South Ayrshire, like the team are great, like, and they've actually said, like, if we see an application coming through from Coorie Doon Stays, like, we know that you'll have done everything correctly. But I mean, we've been to like when you get objections with the application, you have to go and sit in front of a panel and listen to the objectors and put your case forward. Like we've been through all of that, and we've got all the licenses. Because actually it's generally, yes, every so often you will have an issue that, like, we like to think we deal with properly and professionally and resolve it, but you do get some people who are just always going to be against short-term lets. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, they don't want them, and I suppose they just don't want them as their neighbours. And like some types of like visitors you can get, and like you wouldn't like that next to you, like if there's a party going on, but on the whole, it's really good for the local economy. So, I mean, likes of Ayr needs short-term lets because there's not enough hotel accommodation. Like, you just had to look at like, not weekend there, the weekend before, where we had the Gold Cup. There's not enough accommodation for people coming to the Gold Cup. So we need the short-term lets. The hotels can accommodate it all. So where else are people going to stay? And having them in the local area, that's why people want to stay in the short-term lets. They want to be part of the community in the local area. And 9 times out of 10, like, you could, like, there's such nice guests that...
Yeah, I think things are turning, because I remember a long time ago it would be just hotels. We're going to stay in hotels, and I see it myself entirely. Like you were talking about that one bed that's near the water and all these kind of things. And so I think people are probably more attracted to that than hotels now. I see the spin.
Some people like their own space. Like, don't get me wrong, when I go away, like, I sometimes like to go to a hotel. Sometimes I've got 2 wee kids. I've got 2 dogs as well. Like, I want to be able to take my dogs on holiday if I'm in Scotland, or we were away down at Great Yarmouth last weekend with the dogs, and I want to be able to do that. Therefore, I want my own space. With 2 wee kids, it's sometimes easier just cooking for them than taking them out to a restaurant and spending like 30 quid on food that they don't eat.
I don't eat it anyway.
So people like that. So I do think short-term let does obviously, I think that's got its place. That's my business. But I think you've just got to think about the type of person that's going to come and stay in that property, and make sure that your like offering suits that person, but also think about your neighbours as well. Like, if it is like in an apartment or in like a house, think about your neighbours, engage them as early as you can. And 9 times out of 10, like, they will be warm to it. Like, I've got a neighbour in our first one that I was mentioning earlier on that was going to be a flip. Like, our neighbour takes our bins out, and it's a short-term let. Like, and he never has any issues with it. Like, he just keeps talking about how nice it is to meet different people, and like that we keep it in really good condition, like, and it looks nice, and I'm like, that's the positive side of it.
But that's probably because you're building properties, you're making them top door, you're making them really nice, you know, they're like all great. So then you're getting that type of clientele. Whereas if you went really low on it, you might get different people. And so because you're making it look nice, it's attracting better people who don't mind maybe, you know, paying a bit more to get somewhere really nice. So they're going to look after it.
Yeah.
It's a better way of doing it.
I like to think, like, we do, like, we care whether it's ones that we own ourselves or whether it's for owners, like, and we're managing it. We like to think we care about them all this in the same way, and we manage them the way that they should be managed. Like, don't get me wrong, we have the odd guest that is problematic and we take appropriate steps, but you're going to get that in all aspects. It's actually, I was just speaking to somebody earlier on today, and it's like, actually in short-term lets, in a way, it's easier to deal with problems compared to like a buy-to-let. Because if somebody's got like been antisocial in a buy-to-let, how difficult is that to deal with?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you can just walk down there and say leave. Like, that's a problem that's going to keep hurting you for a long time until you can get something done about it. Whereas in short-term lets, you've got a bit more control. I think, anyway.
The only difficult, I think, on your side is that Airbnb, these companies, you can do every single thing perfect, right? And if they complain, it almost affects you, and you're like, here's the 15 things I've done. How do you deal with it? Because that's a scoring which affects.
Yeah, I mean, I had, like, actually in the last week, we had a guest stay at the Balfour, which is the one me and Darren own in Fife, and they chose, we've got different types of rooms. They chose it's a double bedroom with an ensuite and tea prep facility. It's not big, but it's very well explained. It's a double bed, and we've got smart door entry as well at that. And I knew from the get-go that it was probably going to go the way it went. But the guest, I think she maybe didn't read the description for whatever reason. She wasn't happy because it was small. It was only a bed. It was only a double bed. They weren't from Britain, so I don't think they're used to double beds.
Right.
And there was just, they couldn't work the door entry. Like, and this is a unit that's had 5 stars consistently on Airbnb, and it's obviously all brand new done. Like, it's lovely, but I know looking at it, I'm like, actually, they should have maybe chosen one of the bigger rooms, and they would have had a totally different experience. But they were only staying for one night, and they gave us was it a 3 out of 5. And I still get a bit personal with this sort of stuff. So I'm on the phone to David going, oh my God, we've got like a 3 out of 5. This is terrible. David's like, oh, give it, like, just calm down. It's totally fine. And then literally the next guest that stayed in it scored it a 5 out of 5 and wrote a beautiful review. And it's just a good example of how, like, you're just never going to please everybody.
Yeah, you're going to get serial moaners that are going in there looking for problems before they even step through the door.
Yeah.
And they're like that. Immediately, I can't work this smart control. And they're like, do you read the instructions? Not really, but it's not working, so score that. And
so there's always going to be a blip. But I'm obviously raging because I'm like, oh, well, that stops my score of 5s, like staying at a 5 and da-da-da-da-da. But I think most people these days can see through that noise. Like, if you go on, like, used to be TripAdvisor, I don't know when the last time I checked TripAdvisor, but if you go into Airbnb or Booking.com and you're reading the reviews, it's like, even without being in the industry, I kind of see through it. Like, I look at what's the average, I read the reviews, and there'll be those, like, most people only do a review if the experience was brilliant or they didn't think it was good.
Yeah.
So you're not really going to get the middle ground stuff. So I tend to just look at what's the average. And if there's one bad review out of 30, am I really going to place much emphasis on the one bad review?
Yeah, exactly. When you look and it goes, there's 300 5s and then there's 1, you're like, oh my God, these 300 people are wrong and this one person's right.
Small.
Aye. So, and that's probably a bit that, because I care.
I know,
like,
I can imagine.
things
That's
like
what
that
each
really
you have
annoy
about
me.
1,000 5-stars and that wee one.
Hunting that person down.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong, one of the things that she did send me feedback on, it was about we don't have fridges in those rooms. So, like, even yesterday I was like, Darren was across there and I was like, listen, can you go and measure this bit in this room? There's a little bit of space that I think I could get a wee mini fridge in there. It wasn't something that I thought about when we first did them. We've got other rooms that have got like, we've got an apartment, we've got 2 rooms that have got like a kitchenette style. But I was like, do you know what? If I can get a fridge in there, I do think that might be quite good, even if it's to put some cans in.
Just something
like,
chilled.
Something. So I was like, right, I take that on board. So I think you should always look at your reviews and like take what you can from them, but also at the same time, just remember, you're never going to please everybody. Yeah. And that's okay, because maybe that space is maybe not the sort of accommodation that person should choose.
I was about to say that you probably have different rooms. So, for example, if you've got a 2-bed and it's a single bed, you're assuming there's kids. So it might be that you go, I will put a microwave in there, right? Or something. You know what I mean? So that because they're going to heat up food because the kids are not eating out. But if it's a 1 double bed, there's a good chance it might be 2 adults. So they're not going to have a microwave. They might have a fridge to have a bottle of wine, but they're probably going to go out.
Yeah.
And it is just trying to, because you could just kill yourself with just going, I'm going to build extensions in every one of them and put kitchens in, and they go for no reason.
Get yourself totally into, procrastination. Like,
exactly.
And never make a decision in anything. But yeah, that's definitely been a recent thing for me, like, within Coorie Doon Stays, is like just seeing how people like write reviews and like learning not to take it personally, take what constructive like feedback you can to help improve the experience for future guests, but at the same time realising sometimes you're going to get this outlier review that actually doesn't really mean anything to you.
Truly reflect.
And you shouldn't. But don't get me wrong, that whole thing, like, if it's going to annoy you in 5 years' time, don't spend 5 minutes on it. I've clearly spent more than 5 minutes thinking about that, right?
When we advertise this podcast, I'm putting that line on because it's brilliant. It's absolutely... one other thing. So I'm just thinking.
I'm just
So you
thinking
have
about
this,
non-pleasers, and this keeps on going. I want to get this out of the way.
right?
Just
Okay,
quickly.
let's do
Oh,
this,
right,
and I'll
right,
ask you my
okay.
quality question because it's
1-star reviews and all that. Non-pleasers.
Have you got to drink all of it?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
need
of
10.
course
It's a
it is.
shot.
Don't smell it, by the way. I think it smells like curry because it's turmeric is the main ingredient of curry, isn't it?
Depends what curry you're making.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I've got
I
to smell
smelled
it.
it.
Oh, that smells quite nice.
like floury.
Aye, just wait till you taste it, but
Oh, that one's better than ginger.
Oh, that's quite nice.
horrible.
Oh, I don't like that.
Oh no, I like that.
Oh, you're.
What else has that got in it?
Water.
Curry.
Don't know.
No, it's whatever.
It's apple juice, it says.
Apple juice and turmeric.
I can taste the apple.
I can taste more of the apple.
Oh, it's got ginger puree
It's
there.
got
you go,
ginger in
and
it.
cayenne pepper.
I think the ginger must be the thing catching at the back of your throat.
It's turmeric, that one, but
I think your faces were maybe worse than mine there.
I'll Photoshop yours.
I've been trying to find
I
these
quite like that. I
Gillians.
would have that again.
No.
So I wanted to ask. So you have Coorie Doon. You have them on Southwest. You said you've got them in Perth. Where else have you got them?
Not Perth,
Fife.
Fife.
Sorry.
Not perfect.
Growing too much.
But what is your thinking? Are you, because it must be hard to maintain that level and expand massively. It's got to be hard. That's difficult, right?
Got like
Because
systems and supports in place for that. To
Yeah,
help.
so we've got quite a lot of stuff automated. We've got a good platform that we use. The biggest challenge I find is getting good clean teams and housekeepers. So
Kind of like the backbone, isn't it? Because that's your first instance of, like, you've seen the pictures, which is, I think your pictures kind of help you book. So that I booked it. And does it look how it did in the pictures as clean as that? 'Cause if you walk in, you go, this is a mess, it's a riot, it's dust everywhere. So they're probably the people you rely on heavily to get the best reviews and the best outcome.
absolutely, like
it is cleaning. It is cleaning.
you live or die by it. So we've got a number of different teams. They work slightly differently. We're in the process of recruiting actually just now as well in Troon, because that's where the David's apart hotel is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a hub for us, and we manage a number like Troon and kind of surrounding areas. So we've got the capacity of hiring a housekeeper there who'll help us on some of the other units. But whenever we're looking at bringing on a new unit, that's one of the main things we look at is, can we manage that with the existing team that we've got, or do we have to expand and bring on a new clean team?
Stuck in my throat, that, by the way.
Are you still
I'm trying to understand how to swallow it.
I'm actually surprised. I quite liked it.
So if people have property that they want to SA, they come to you, and then do you go, right, I'm just going to review it first, and I go,
you ever knock
new
back or
painting,
anything?
what
There
do you
would
do?
be stuff we knock back. We've got areas that we were looking at. I'll be quite keen to take on one Kilmarnock. So we've got a 3-bed in Kilmarnock coming on. It should have its licence by the end of the month. So we won't take on too many in certain area. There's certain bits of air that we wouldn't We've had people come to us down at the harbour front where they're looking at this flat. And nowadays we would actually not encourage them to do it, because we've just seen an apartment go to get its licence and it's been refused. That's the first time we've seen that happen in that particular area. So there's certain areas we wouldn't touch, but we basically will go in at any point. So we've taken on properties that are already set up and operating, and we've taken them on, or we've worked with people from the very beginning.
Take them through the whole
Help them
application
through
process.
their
I was gonna ask,
licence
I don't want to give you work,
process.
but then if I see a house, right, and I go, I quite like that, but I want to do it to SA, can you come with me and tell me?
Yeah.
Is that, because that's
Yeah.
all I'm
I
doing
can
is
give
supplying
you
the
I
money.
my-
don't think you would go to every viewing. I think you could
No.
maybe
No,
send
no,
and
when
go,
you're-
I'm in
Aye,
this
if
area.
somebody's
I found it, and this is what
people
I
have
want.
said to me, do you think this would work? And I've looked at it, and I'll give their opinion. I've got people who've maybe bought something, she won't mind me saying, Noreen.
Mm-hmm.
So Noreen came to me. She had bought her and Kevin had bought this 2-bed apartment in Saltcoats. And she was like, would this work for SA? They bought it because they wanted something next to the water, and she remembered going to Saltcoats when she was younger. And I was like, do you know what, actually, I'm not 100% sure, because we didn't manage anything in Saltcoats at the time. I've got buy-to-lets there. David actually stays in Saltcoats, so we know the town. But we're like, do you know what, actually, I do think there's potential once I'd done a little bit of due diligence. And that's done brilliantly so far.
Good.
We've had a contractor in there, but even without that, like the first month, like I was getting bookings that even I was surprised.
Yeah.
So she's delighted.
Yeah.
But she came early doors. Like we've set up short-term lets for people as well. Like, we obviously can manage renovations as well, but we don't do that as much now because our focus needs to be on the business itself.
Yeah.
But we can refer people to other people who we know do it. Like, and also like for the setting up of it, we can either do it if we've got the capacity, or there's certain staging companies that are installation companies
a lot
that
goes
we
into
can
that as
refer
well, just to
on.
make it look and feel. Again, go back to that cosmetically, make it look and feel, because you can't shove in, like the beds are super important as well to make sure they're having a comfy sleep. You can't shove in any old bed or mattress. So.
Like we specifically get beds from certain places, and like it is like that's really important. But I think the best thing if anybody's looking at short term lets, apart from the number due diligence, is get like some of the management agents and whoever it is, like whether it's myself or another operator, like get us in early doors so that we can tell you what we think guests, what type of guests would stay there, and also what are they looking for, what's important to them. Because we know, like, one of the things just now, like, people keep asking me, like, oh, do people want an air fryer? And I'm like, actually, I think that's going to become more a thing. I think we've got an air fryer in one of the units, but not all.
Like coffee pods and coffee machines are quite
so
popular in them as
in
well.
the Balfour in Fife, like we've got like Nespresso machines in the units that have got the kitchenettes and the kitchens. We don't have the space for them in the smaller room, so we've got a kettle in there. But there's certain things that are required, like kids, like the IKEA plastic plates and cups and like it's things like
your
even down to
demographic, that who's going to stay there.
That's exactly
we don't have them in every unit, but we've got them in the units that we know suit families. So it's get speaking to a management agent or somebody who's doing a lot of short-term lets in the area that you're looking at, and ask them. Most people will be open and honest. Like, we speak to people who are quite far off from buying somewhere, but we'll speak to them because we know that if we tell them what we know and like what we know guests are looking for, then they're going to have the best chance at buying something that's going to work. And then hopefully they do come back to us and use us as managers. But even if they don't, at least they're not going to make mistakes that they didn't need to make.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to try and, because I'm just thinking, I'm not trying to give you even more work. Again, I just keep on thinking jobs for you.
I mean, we're wanting to grow, so...
Because I think I had SAs in Manchester, right, and knew nothing. And the guy sold me a furniture package, which turned out to be a dud, just rubbish. And I think that if it had someone like yourself that says, oh, by the way, I've bought this, can I just hand it to you? That's probably, or I'm thinking about buying it and you're like, yes, it'll make this much. Can I hand it to you? It's probably like I would welcome somebody like paying additional and they go, right, we'll sort all the furniture for you. We'll get the cleaner in. We'll manage it for you. Give us the keys. We'll let you know when you get money. And then that, to me, is probably taking it at an early stage and like you do nothing from now on. Like,
I mean, we've done licenses for people. We've set units up. We'll generally nowadays we'll use one of the installation companies, like who can do it better than us. Like, I'm not a designer.
You're still sorting it though, so you're basically giving you the keys and you go, right, we'll sort it.
We can do everything.
Gillian getting in to put the sofa
and
and everything.
The SA licence. So the council see your name on the SA licence and they know that there's a standard and they know that all the questions they're worried about, you've already answered.
Aye.
So then they go, oh, it's coming from you. Oh, this is easy. So if I'm a customer, I'm going to give it to you, and you're going to say, we've got an understanding, we can answer them. So it's going to go faster through than, back and forward with essays that we've all loved.
Aye, we can do an end-to-end process, and I think that's like not all. There is other management companies who'll do that, but I think because we've got the background from the hospitality side, but we've also got the background from the property side, and we know it as an owner as well.
Yeah.
Like, which I think goes a long way. Like, quite often, even like with letting agents, I quite like a letting agent who's also an investor.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
they get it.
Absolutely.
So yes, we
There's
do.
no penny pinching on that
end-to-end.
kind of one. They recognise it. And I think with that, the first property you ever get, you're like, oh, it's going to cost this much and what you're doing. But see, later on, you're like, here's the keys. Can you give me a shout in 3 months if there's money coming in?
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. That's what I
think
would
it's good
jump
to
at.
we can do different, like at the moment, the one in Kilmarnock, like I was just round there checking on it last week. And I just sent the owner, like they've done it all themselves, but I just sent the owner a list of things that I'm like, okay, it's looking amazing, but here's the things that you just need to put in to finish it. So it's kind of more collaborative.
Yeah.
Whereas like with somebody else, like more recently, like we've done more of it for them. We've done the license for them. We've done a bit more of the setup for them. So it just depends on what people need.
And what areas that's in all those areas you're covering?
So all the Ayrshires, so all three Ayrshires, we've got one in Helensburgh just now.
Oh, yeah.
So we will go up there. And then Paisley is another area that we can cover. It's closer for me to get to Paisley, our units in Paisley, than it is to get to one of our units in Turnberry.
Wow.
So I've realised that actually that's manageable. And then we will go probably half an hour outside Glenrothes right now, because we've got a really, really good housekeeper team over there that I know will travel for us. So that's the kind of areas we're focusing on just now.
That's almost like central Scotland as well. Almost you're getting to Glenrothes for me is probably Stirling. Right, I reckon you could get to Stirling half an hour. I'm just inventing business for you here, right on the cuff.
You've been Aberdeen before you know it, Christ.
Aye, I mean, partly as well, it's like where I've got experience in other property strategies, I'll maybe look at. But I'm very conscious. We've got like where we want to grow to. We've done really well in the last year, since I've been involved in it, and we're actively growing. But we're also looking for our next like hotel or apart hotel. So it just depends what comes down the line. We've got a few coming on in the next month, and then as long as we grow at that rate, I'm probably pretty happy. We're also recruiting as well because we realise there's me and David, and then
Can only do so much.
great clean teams, maintenance teams there. We've got somebody who does quite a lot of our meet and greets. Some of our units have to have a meet and greet service.
Mm-hmm.
They're not allowed key locks, like the or smart locks. We can't do these in certain properties.
Yeah.
So we've got meet and greet service as well. So we are now at the stage where we're going to be recruiting somebody into the business to help us with a lot of the back office, the maintenance, the admin side as well, which allows me and David to really push on with growing the business to where we want it to be.
And you're buying yourselves, you and David as well.
Yeah.
And then we're coming back to this again, so we're doing Coorie Doon, and then you're buying buy-to-lets as well, because I think we were in a podcast, or we were in a call the other day, that you were saying I'm going to be doing this as well when I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, so the buy-to-lets, like me and Darren, my husband, we've not bought buy-to-lets in a few years.
Mm-hmm.
We still got, I think buy-to-lets for me are a good solid base, and I love buy-to-lets. But for a few years there when we were like, we kind of gone down the route of what I really love is buying one unit and splitting it up. see the multiple incomes from one building. That's what I really love.
Yeah.
And the buy-to-let, single buy-to-lets weren't ticking that box.
Yeah.
Because if a buy-to-let's cash flowing like £200-300, maybe £400 a month, like you have to buy quite a lot of them to really make a dent.
Yeah.
And like in the world, like, but so buying one unit, yeah, it might cost you more, it might take longer, but if you've got like our first commercial building, we've got 14 spaces in there, like that was like a bit of a light bulb moment for me, and it came actually from our HMO that we did, which was the first thing we did after buy-to-let. It's a 5-bed HMO, and it was like, well, if one room's empty, we still get 4 that are cash flowing. And it was a total light bulb moment for me.
Yeah.
So that's why I've ended up, maybe sounds like we've jumped about, but actually I've ended up in the, like,
No,
from
I
an
can see the
investment
chain.
space.
I can see the roadmap of how you've got to there.
Whereas we've gone back into buy-to-lets, and I do see quite a lot of investors doing this. They maybe do buy-to-lets to begin with, get a bit bored of that, then they'll go into something a wee bit more sexy, and then quite a lot of the times I see them coming back into buy-to-lets.
Is it because it's slow and steady? I mean,
think
I know
so.
Nick,
It's
we shouldn't be
just-
saying this, he'll be getting upset.
But I think good buy-to-lets, like, they're not building enough houses. So the demand there, like, I've seen the demand shift massively even in the short number of years that we've been doing this. Like, and yes, rents are going up, and that's obviously a debate for a different day, but like, they are like pretty steady and safe. Like, if you spend a few grand more on a refurb, it's not the end of the world in the long term. I think that's the important bit. It's the long term. They're steady and safe. So, like, just now we've got, I think we might complete in one today, but we've got 2 flats we're doing just now, and then we've got a portfolio of 6 in conveyancing right now. And it probably is a bit more exciting for me because I'm like, it's 6 together. That's quite nice. So it's a bit like one building. It's not one building, but it's 6 of them scattered about.
Aye.
Which
So it's
still
bigger,
ticks
more challenging for you.
I mean, I'm kind of, Darren's actually getting involved more with the buy-to-lets just now, because I was like, I'm busy, like my focus is Coorie Doon Stays, and we've got the commercial buildings, so he's getting more involved with like managing the renovations in them, but so that's probably why we're back in that space. But I just think buy-to-lets are great, and I don't think I'll ever not have any, but I can see why the other things are a bit more exciting for folk, and they want to. Don't think you need to do 17 buy-to-lets before you go and do something else, but
Yeah.
I can see why people see the shiny penny and suddenly they're going after like this exciting, I hate the word strategy, but
This is me, by the way, you're
after-
describing that. Shiny penny. I've had the discussion with Nick, and he's like, many buy-to-lets. I'm like, I don't do buy. They're boring, man. I'm not doing them at all. But I agree with you, they're slow, steady, and they just, you can take your eye
They
off
do
them
the
and they'll
job.
keep doing it.
It's a foundation of property investment, I think. Like, they do the job. You can start
Aye.
there. They're easy enough to do, and you can.
like we
try
use
the other
management
ones.
agents for the majority of our buy-to-lets because, and so many people have said, particularly now you've got Coorie Doon Stays, would you not want to set up a lettings arm? And I'm like, no. Like, I have managed buy-to-lets, my own buy-to-lets before, but I get too emotionally invested
Yeah.
for my own good. So I'm better leaving that to the experts in managing buy-to-lets and having good letting agents that know what they're doing and treat people well.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that. I don't want to be called at 2 a.m. for my boiler's broke. Well, I could get that in Coorie Doon Stays, but I don't want to do that for
I can't get
buy-to-lets.
this channel working on the telly. It's not even the boiler. You're like, ah, fair enough, but you're like that.
I don't know how to work the cooker. Like, yeah.
So I was going to say, what be respectful of time as well. Just kind of getting on, but I've got 3 quick fire questions
Okay.
just to help us wrap up. So what's one region in Scotland you think is underrated for property investment?
Oof. Check it out.
I've got to say Ayrshire. Don't you?
What other one?
Certain bits of Ayrshire.
Yeah.
What other one after Ayrshire?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it is good because there's loads of wee, I'm talking about the three towns and all that as well, but there's loads of other wee pockets that you can get decent ones, and the cash flow's good on them, the return on them is very good, like 2-bedroom houses, 3-bedroom houses for 50, 60k, like...
They're not, like, a lot. I mean, there's good areas, like very affluent areas of Ayrshire, but yeah, like, I just think from the day I've started investing, like, things like areas like the Three Towns, Kilwinning was one of my favourite areas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're looking for, like, long-term, easier stuff that people are gonna, if they rent something, like if you've got a 2-3 bed house, it's long-term. We've had tenants.
So we
who
can
are
be
in-
family towns, or like they grow up there, they stay there, whatever, so
Yeah.
they're always just going to...
You're maybe
looking
not
at
going to
Gourock.
get the...
Gourock I was looking at recently, and it was just mental. And just thriving right now.
Well,
It'd
one
be
of
a
the
place
ones
to
we're
jump.
buying just now is in Greenock, and I'm like, right, I need to actually understand
Kind of
Greenock a
similar
bit
as
better
well,
than I
a
do.
little bit, in a
Aye.
sense, there.
Certain bits of it, I think. So that'll be fun.
Gourock.
That'll be fun. But aye, I've got to see her,
Yeah,
don't
sure.
I?
Best personal habit that's helped your business?
Oh,
Are you an ice bath person at 5 a.m?
nah. I'm generally up early, but it's because my dogs wake me up. I would say time blocking, and I'm not perfect at it. Like, which all goes back to the planning side of things. When I plan well, when I time block, when I'm organised, I can do so much more.
What was your day job?
I was an account manager.
That's why.
Eh,
Because that makes sense, because you'd have to be high-end blocking.
Loads going on.
I'd love to say that I was that organised.
And then just lastly, if you could start again, what would you do differently? Don't pivot after 17 back to let's go
You'll let
after
that buy
5.
before kids.
Do you know what? I don't think I would do anything differently. Like, yes, things could have been easier if, like, if I knew then what I know now, yeah, there'd be things I would do. But do you know what? I'm quite happy with the fact that as I got started, and yeah, I could have been younger, yeah, I could have had less responsibilities, but I got started, I put the graft in, I still am, and I'm doing something that actually feels like it's making a difference. So I don't think I would do anything different, because I don't know where I would be if that was the case.
No, love it.
I've got 2 others, quick ones. Please, I just thought of them, and one that I've been thinking we must be
I
doing
need to
this
phone
from
the
now
school
on.
and say I'm going to be late for
Is this the way
Ruby.
it normally goes, by the way?
Yeah. What bit of advice, you can look in the camera and tell us, what piece of advice are you going to give to anyone out there about property? Not to us, the camera.
Oh, like, just kind of what I just said, like, just get started, make the mistakes, learn from them, keep going, and yeah, just get started.
And then my final question, you're going to love this one, by the way, straight into the camera.
Oh, no.
Go and give us a question that you want the next podcast person to answer.
Oh,
I like that, actually.
I always love hearing where you're going to be in 5 years' time.
So do you want to ask that and do one more question? Do you want that? We're going to be in 5 years' time. Where's Coorie Doon
Oh,
Stays?
are you going to ask me?
Yeah, I'm asking you now. You've asked your own question.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. It's something that actually me and Darren are going round just now. Like, where do we want? Like, it was like back in day one, it was like, I want to be able to drop my kids off and pick them up from school. Like, and even visualising what we want our life to be. Generally, we've got that now. Probably in 5 years' time, I want to be in the position that I can genuinely do whatever I want. Pick the projects that are purely things that look amazing for me to do, rather than always be about, like, what's my return, and, like...
I don't think you're that far away from that, are you?
No,
Yous
we're
aren't-
still
yous are doing
still
well enough.
working.
Get after
Aye.
that, eh? Loads going on. Brilliant. And if people want to reach out to you for anything at all, Coorie Doon Stays, you do the mentoring stuff as well. Anything at all? Where can they get
best place to get me is on Instagram, Jill Green Property, or for Coorie Doon Stays, it's Coorie Doon Stays.
I'll put them both in the show notes anyway.
Perfect.
But no, listen, thank you very much for coming on.
Very much
Thank you for inviting me. That was
Thanks all
fun.
for listening, and we'll catch you all in the next episode.